So so you got married, and then you what was Dad doing at that time for work? Was he going to college? Was he?
No, he was working for Reliance Electric Company. He was a time, what is it, time, where they, I don't remember exactly the term, but they would, figuring out ways that people could do things in a shorter time, I guess that's what you'd really call it.
Uh-huh. So this was 1955, you said?
55. Well, yes, well, that would be early 56 by that time.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, I'm going to grab a glass of water, and you might want to take a drink as well. There's a glass over there if you're thirsty at all. All right, so now, it's 1955, you married Dad, and you had your first child. The first child was Carol. She was born
December 20th, 1956.
She was a Christmas baby.
That's correct.
A lot of excitement? Your first child?
No, because, well, there was excitement for us, but we used to have to stay in the hospital for 10 days to 2 weeks after you had a baby.
I remember that.
And so, and there was infantile diarrhea going around the hospitals.
Oh no.
And so they would not allow anybody. The only two people that were allowed to come to visit were the mother's mother, like my mother,
right,
and the husband. Nobody else was allowed in the hospital to visit.
Not the paternal,
No,
not the paternal
no, nobody.
Interesting. All right, so you bring Carol. Let's just take a, we don't have some where there are some time limitations to this, but let's take a minute and let's go through the children. Okay, first you had Carol. Anything stand out in your mind about Carol that that when you were raising her?
When she was a baby and we brought her home, I had brought her home on a Friday, and she had to be rushed back to the hospital on Sunday morning. The doctor was waiting on the steps of Babies and Children's Hospital because she was absolutely totally dehydrated, and we were told that she would not live the next morning. So I remember that was just a terrible day in my life because everybody, my mother and father and your father were all at the hospital with Carol, and I was home alone.
Huh.
Did not know really what was going on. And but she did live.
And she went on to, you have a very close relationship with Carol to this day, and Carol has certainly, some wonderful accomplishments.
She is an amazing woman.
Yeah, an amazing, strong, is there a word you can think of to describe Carol? Is there yesterday we were talking about if you could choose one word to describe yourself, what would it be?
I don't know of any one word because there are a lot of words that would describe her.
All right. After Carol came John?
No, Kathleen.
Kathleen came.
She was born on November 17th, right after Carol, so in 1957.
Okay.
On November 17th. So that was 3 days less than 11 months.
Sure. So and any memories of Kathleen to speak of? And when I say memories, it doesn't have to be, you could share a memory of Kathleen from her adolescence or from her childhood. Is there anything that stands out about, Kathleen that comes to mind? She was a very artistic child.
I remember, she was very, probably compassion from a little child. She's always been a very compassionate human being, but I remember it was so cute because she would always, when she was little, she would say, "Well, you gonna come to we house?"
Come to we house.
Yeah,
Okay.
she used to always say that, and everybody used to get a big kick out of.
Hmm. And then after Kathleen came the first boy, and that was John.
John.
That was John.
Yeah.
And John, is there anything that stands out in your memory about raising John in his childhood? Was he a what type of boy was he? Was he, do you remember?
He was all boy.
He was a whole boy.
He liked sports.
Uh-huh.
He interacted well with the others. The kids all, at that time, were, played really close together. And
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so after John came Bob, right?
No,
Mary. Mary Jude.
Yes.
Mary Jude came.
She doesn't like to be called Mary Jude.
She did,
She didn't like this name, but St. Jude was a very favorite saint of mine.
Okay. So
I promised that boy or girl the name would be Jude.
Mm-hmm. Any memories to speak of Mary? Any recollections of Mary at all growing up that stand out?
She was very she was little, very little, and she used to wind people right around her. Well, I mean,
Around
she
her
would
finger?
yeah, I mean, she was just endearing to everybody.
Uh-huh.
Everybody found her very endearing.
Huh. And after Mary came Bob.
Yes.
Okay, and Bob, Bob is watching this now. Is there anything that you want to share with him and with others as far as recollections of Bob when he was little? Anything stand out to you?
He was just a very loving little boy.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Bob, as I remember Bob was the most athletic.
He was very athletic.
Bob was the superstar in the family. He used to be able to play any sport and excel in any sport.
He was shorter than other kids growing up, but I remember in high school he was on, or in junior high school I guess it was, he was on the football team, and the coach saying one time that he got, I don't know if he got things set up or that, and then he sent Bob Hall in to do the job because he could just go right down the field.
Huh.
And through the other team.
Okay. Now certainly we can't forget Jimmy.
Michael.
James Michael. That was a tragedy for you, losing him.
He was well, yes, at that you were not, put under anesthetic when children were born. They were given at that time, spinals, and to lay and watch your child die.
It was tough.
At that, because he was born and immediately he only lived 1/2 hour.
Yeah.
So it was hard.
I can imagine.